You know, I started this YouTube channel almost by accident. I just wanted to make a couple of videos to demonstrate our teaching style for potential customers at our language school, Let Them Talk in Paris. And then I made another, and I made another, and I made another, and the whole thing kind of snowballed. And I never imagined that I'd be here 5 years later, having made about 170 videos. And when I began, I thought, well, I'm an English teacher. I'm British, in spite of what all the people say in the comment section. And I know grammar. I know the idioms, the expressions. So I'll show you how to speak as I do. And in earlier videos, I used to say things like, say this to sound more British, or use this phrase, it sounds more native. Sounds more native? That doesn't even make sense. But I've been, shall we say, I've been reflecting lately, and you know what? To all English learners out there, I owe you an apology. I was wrong. I gave you bad advice. Don't speak like a native. I started thinking about this a while ago, and it coincided with a comment on an old video of mine, and the video was entitled, I don't remember exactly, something like how to speak English like a native, or 10 points to speak like a native. I can't remember exactly. And somebody wrote in the comments, why would I want to do that? And you know what? Yeah, he was right. Now let me explain something. I teach English, and of course, I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. I want to show you idiomatic English, the way we speak on the streets of London, because I'm a Londoner, and not the way you learn in the books. Of course, that's what English teachers do on YouTube. And perhaps I'll give you a sneak peek into British culture. That much is true. And it's okay to say something like native speakers will often use this expression and not this one. So, for example, most English speakers in the UK will say it's chucking it down, rather than it's raining cats and dogs, which is an expression you no doubt learned at school. But in my part of the world, we never say that. We have a video about that, by the way, up here. However, and this is the point, however, what I don't think is okay is to suggest that because you're a non-native speaker and I'm a native speaker, your objective is to speak like me, okay? And I am, along with my compatriots, somehow one of the guardians of the English language, and we hold the key to entering the promised lands where only those who sound like native speakers reside, where you breathe the rarefied native air and drink from the fountain of youth. Not the fountain of youth, that's probably not a good metaphor. Drink from the fountain of something. Sorry, I'm not inspired today. All this thing about speak English like a native just feeds anxiety and is bad advice. Don't speak like a native. Instead, speak like yourself. Become the best version of yourself. Improve your skills, learn grammar, learn vocabulary, speak idiomatic English, improve your pronunciation. Certainly, all of these things are okay, and I'm here to help you do that. But don't fall into the mindset that if you somehow don't speak like a cast member of Downton Abbey, you've somehow failed.
Mama has sent me down to welcome you and to ask you to dine with us tonight, unless you're too tired.
We would be delighted.
Good. Come at 8.
Let's look at the two main aspects of learning English because they're quite different, okay? The language and the pronunciation. First of all, the language, the words and expression you use. Your objective should be to become the best communicator you can possibly be. Communication is not based solely on correct grammar and correct pronunciation and correct syntax. Yes, I do encourage you to learn that stuff, but grammar is just a tool to help you craft your speaking and writing skills, albeit a useful one. And of course, we have many grammar videos on this channel that you should watch, such as this one up here. Check it out. If I say that the end of your journey as a student of English is somehow to pass the English language equivalent of the Turing test, that is, if I close my eyes and you speak, I can't tell the difference whether you are English or foreign. If it's like that, then if you pass that test, then that's it. That's the end. You can stop learning, put up your feet, order pizza and beer and play video games for the next 20 years. But that doesn't make any sense. Firstly, why should you limit yourself to speaking like a native? Your objective should be, if anything, to speak better than that. Lots of non-native speakers are extremely articulate, of course, and lots of native speakers are inarticulate. If you're educated and, I don't know, you've read 10,000 difficult books in your own language and you are eloquent in your mother tongue, if you are able to discuss the burning issues of the day, if you are able to express complex ideas and abstract emotions in your own language, then once you've reached a certain level, you can do it in English too. Eloquence is a transferable skill. If you've achieved it in your own language, then once you've got to grips with English, you're going to speak better than the vast majority of native speakers. So don't cut yourself short. Don't aim to speak like a native, aim higher. Or rather, I'll put it another way. At a certain point, native or non-native becomes irrelevant. A native speaker who's never read a book is never going to have the skills and the wherewithal to shape the opinions of others. Provenance counts for nothing. Some of us are brilliant, but some of us are just cattle wearing clothes. If you can talk about, I don't know, non-Euclidean mathematics in your own language, then with a little training, you can do it in English too. Not me. I have no idea what that's all about, but maybe you can. In short, anything a native speaker can talk about, perhaps you can do better, and if not today, then one day soon. It depends on your skills you have as an individual, native or non-native, it's the same. My job as an English teacher is to help you with the grammar and show you idiomatic English, but what I won't be saying anymore is speak like this to sound more British. Use this phrase, it sounds more native. Then give you a list of vogue words and expressions du jour, which will probably sound old-fashioned in a couple of years anyway. I want to move on to pronunciation. You might have noticed that I don't do that many pronunciation videos. I do a few, but not that many on this channel. And here's why. What I believe is that the first 90% of pronunciation is important. Very important. You need to speak clearly, you need to be understood and not misunderstood. Listeners should not be unsure whether you are hungry or angry, or whether you are walking or working, you should pronounce words like so, S-E-W, and borough correctly. You should also be aware of many important things in pronunciation, such as weak forms, informal contractions like gonna, wanna, gotta, betcha. All of these things are super important. However, I would say that for the vast majority of people, once you've got the fundamentals right, that's enough. An approximation of how native English speakers speak is sufficient. With pronunciation, it's the law of diminishing returns. The first 90% is relatively easy and takes, shall we say, this much time. The next 9%, don't ask me where I get the statistics from, it's just to give you an idea. The next 9% takes, can you see that? It takes this much time just for a little improvement. If you say comfortable instead of comfortable, if you say culture instead of culture, nobody really cares. But we obsess over it. There are exceptions here. Some people love taking that path, spending loads of time on phonetics and the minute nuances of pronunciation. And if you are one of those people, then that's okay. I say go ahead, I encourage you. However, for most learners, what I don't want you to think is that if you have a slight accent, you are somehow inadequate, that your English is wanting. No, it isn't. There are lots of famous non-native speakers who become successful here in spite of, or maybe because they have a foreign accent. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, Penelope Cruz, just to name three from the top of my head. Has an accent impeded their career? Well, let's think about it. Terminator, a fast-paced dystopian action thriller and a brilliant and provocative satire on Reagan's America. But it was ruined by the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger says buck and not back. It's I'll be back, not I'll be back, idiot. 2 stars. Vanilla Sky, a phantasmagoric tour de force. Alas, sadly a failure because Penelope Cruz was unable to pronounce her schwas in words like breakfast. It's breakfast, not breakfast. 2 stars. Jackie Chan in Rush Hour may have superlative kung fu moves, but his Chinese accent and his egregious non-standard pronunciation caused me to walk out of the cinema. 1 star. Come on guys, a slight foreign accent doesn't matter. Frankly, nobody cares. In fact, the opposite is true. It's nice to have variety in English. And as I said, I realise there are a few exceptions. Some people love learning the details of pronunciation. It's a passion. That's fine, go for it. But for most learners, I say don't lose any sleep if you don't sound like a Londoner or a New Yorker or a Sydneyarian. I'm not sure which is correct. Put that in the comments, please. For most of you, I'd say focus on the 90% so we understand you 100%. But then, frankly, after that, it's not that important. In fact, a moderate foreign accent is quite charming. We like it. So don't speak like a native. That should not be your objective. I almost forgot. I've talked about the 99% of pronunciation, but what about the last 1%, that sliver that will get you from speaking close to sounding like a native speaker to passing that linguistic Turing test? It's virtually impossible for an adult who has an accent, a foreign accent, to lose their accent so completely that they sound exactly like a native speaker. There are probably more people who've been in space than have achieved that. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, because as I said, it's not that important. It's not just English, of course. I've learned French, and I hope one day I'll speak it really well. But I know that even if I live to be 100 billion years old, I will never sound French. As soon as I open my mouth, as soon as the first syllable comes out of bonjour, they know I'm a foreigner, I'm English or some kind of foreigner. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. The French know I'm a foreigner, but I'm okay with that. I'm happy having an English accent. Perhaps I could reduce it a little, but I don't want to sound French. I just want to be understood. I don't want to spend hours and hours on the phonetics of French. Sorry, French people. So my advice is learn idiomatic English, learn the grammar, the idioms, enrich your vocabulary, but then be natural and follow your own path. The most powerful thing of all is when you take control and you use your own words and play to your own strengths. You are unique. Don't try and be a carbon copy of that British or American or Australian speaker. You can do better than that. You can speak like yourself. My name's Gideon. Thank you for watching Let Them Talk TV. Have a great day and see you in the next video. Bye.